Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's September 29th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Wow, a lot of news to get to today. Of course, the big news of the day, Shadow President of America, Bibi, they're at the White House giving us fake peace plans again. I don't believe any of this. I wish it was genuine. I wish we could believe them. They're known liars. They're Bibi, Trump, and they're disgusting liars at that because it's costing human lives. So we'll go over the peace plan proposed by Trump and Bibi there at the White House today. Switzerland votes on digital ID on the heels of UK rolling it out last week. So they're rolling it out. They're rolling out technocracy in our face. We got that news to cover. We got, what else do we got? Quite a bit today, actually. We've got the fallout, back and forth of it's your fault, blame game about who's shutting down the government. It won't shut down, or it does very limited fashion. And none of them want to shut it down for the reasons I do, for it being the crime syndicate that it is. And so we play the blame game back and forth here. Domestically, politically, Republican, Democrat, they're all crooks. Does it make a difference? No. What else do we got today? So we got that to go over. Just really the insult to anyone with half a brain. I guess no one that follows the mainstream political narratives does have half a brain. And so we'll try to do some deprogramming on today's show about why do we comply. We have public health news as well. We have geopolitical news per usual here now. We've got fallout. I don't even know if it's fallout yet, but national federalization of National Guard in Oregon. We've got the shootings that went on over the weekend. Horrific tragedies indeed. And we've got a bunch more aardvark genocide news, as it's never ending here now. Quite horrific indeed. Okay, let's get to on this day in history. Before that, though, hey, shout out to all the contributors. We do appreciate it here. I do appreciate it at Weaponized News. We have Simon working part-time. Well, he's always working full-time to be informed about the obscure, what is his nickname? Prince of the Obscure. Simon is a true dedicated news hound, scouring international and national news. So Simon went on George Galloway yesterday, representing Weaponized News. We'll play that clip as our segue to today's news. And so shout out to Simon, to George Galloway Moat. We have a report, George Galloway was detained in the UK. We'll go over that. But first and foremost, shout out to all of the subscribers, supporters of Weaponized News. Truly appreciate it. Fat Bob, others. I don't know if you're comfortable, so I won't name your name, but you know who you are. And we do appreciate all of the contributors monetarily and in the chats and sharing the broadcast, however you may be contributing. We do appreciate it. We're reporting independently here and giving you independent analysis at Weaponized News like no one else on the interwebs. And so we do appreciate monetary contributions, sharing, liking, subscribing, all of the good stuff that you know there on the interwebs. So thank you to everybody. And let's get to this day in history. On this day in history of September 29th, going back to the year 1789, we saw the U.S. War Department. Back then, it was called the War Department, and it's been recently changed back to the War Department. I do appreciate their honesty in the whole thing, but honestly, I wish we didn't have a war department at all. I understand we need some type of national defense, but it's anything but that. So the U.S. War Department was establishes a regular army in 1789. It's in the Constitution. America's not supposed to have a standing army, but yeah, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? In 1829, on this day, UK saw bobbies, right? That's their slang name or nickname. Take to the streets in London for the first time. First units of the London Metropolitan Police appear on the streets of the British capital, London, the city's first modern police force. And this is what they look like. An image of those bobbies in their top hats, i.e., I don't know, Abraham Lincoln. I guess it was the style of the day. But every time I see a guy wearing a big top hat, it always reminds me of Abraham Lincoln. But here are your street cops there, the bobbies in London, rolled out on this day in 1829. And police brutality never looked better there in London. In 1915, we saw the first transcontinental radio telephone message is sent by U.S. Naval radio station at Arlington, Virginia, to Naval radio station at Mar Island in San Francisco, 1915. So over 100 years ago, they sent these radio telephone messages via military communications. In 1916, on this day, and everyone should celebrate this because competition's a sin. Famous quote by John D. Rockefeller. He was minted the world's first billionaire on this day in 1916. We saw American oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller become the world's first billionaire. And of course, that's just the public richest man in the world billionaires, right? Who's the real richest men in the world? I don't know. The owners of the printing press at the central bank. You know what I'm saying? But John D. Rockefeller publicly declared the world's first billionaire. Think of that, a billionaire in 1916. And, extrapolated out, accounting for inflation. That guy was a billionaire in 1916, John D. Rockefeller. Think of it. Just literally untold wealth here now. And he went on to subsequently institute a depopulation eugenics agenda, taking over education, medicine, energy, go down the list. And so we do appreciate the tyranny of robber baron John D. Rockefeller. Never forget, competition is a sin. Okay. Next, on this day in history, in 1923, we saw a British mandate of Palestine. Well, they told us Palestine was just literally a conspiracy made up. But turns out mainstream history tells us in 1923, we saw the British mandate of Palestine sanctioned by the League of Nations in 1920 officially begin on this day. In 1950, on this day, we saw Bell Laboratories announced the creation of the first telephone answering machine. And in 1962, on this day, the Mississippi crisis, John F. Kennedy, then president, authorizes the use of federal troops to integrate the University of Mississippi on this day, 1962, 1967. And think of this. In 1967, the International Monetary Fund reforms the world monetary system. It's also laughable if it wasn't so horrific. It's literally a fiat debt-based monetary system made out of nothing, confidence in the system. And they have done a great job of conning the people to have faith in their fake monetary system. In 1971, on this day, horrific tragedy there in India, we saw a cyclone tidal wave off the Bay of Bengal kill an estimated 10,000 people there in India on this day, 1971. And we have a series now, so everybody was like, yeah, just eat Tylenol to own Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr., you know what I mean, over the last week as they announced the link between autism and Tylenol. Everybody should go do their research about it because it's a little bit more nuanced, detailed, sophisticated than just all of that. But it's fun and easy to be an idiocracy and just eat a whole bottle of Tylenol. Tragically, it was reported that one woman, pregnant woman, overdosed on Tylenol and blew out her liver just to spite Trump. I don't think Trump felt a damn thing for her doing that, but her and her family now suffer the consequences. It's horrific. On this day in history, going back to 1982, cyanide-laced Tylenol capsules kill 7 people in Chicago. Was that an early warning about the horrors of Tylenol? And fast forward, 3 years, in 1985, first of 5 cyanide-laced Tylenol victims dies. Horrific. Cyanide is very toxic poison, as we have reported in great detail here at Weaponized News. In 1988, and this is laughable as well, in 1988, we saw UN peacekeeping forces win the Nobel Peace Prize. And Trump's looking to claim his Nobel Peace Prize as well. So you might as well keep up the trend of it being completely and utterly contemptuous to peace. In 2017, on this day, it was reported and recorded, and they still deny it and hem and haw around it. I believe it is a real thing. Mysterious sonic weapons attack on U.S. diplomats prompt the U.S. to warn citizens not to travel to Cuba and to pull some embassy staff, i.e. direct energy weapons attacks. And then well, that's all we got for this day in history. And then our civil liberties history. On this day in 2015, Planned Parenthood president rebuts faked attack videos. I do believe these videos were real. Cecile Richards, president of Planned Parenthood, testified for 5 hours before Congress on this day, rebutting faked and secretly recorded videos claiming to show that Planned Parenthood sold for-profit fetal tissue from abortions. I believe it was true. The hearings before the Republican-controlled committee were completely hostile to Planned Parenthood, i.e. depopulation eugenics Operation Planned Parenthood, with the committee chair repeatedly interrupting Richards before she could finish making statements. On July 14, 2014, the Center for Medical Progress released the first of 10 videos purporting to show the Planned Parenthood sold for-profit fetal tissue obtained from abortions, i.e. baby body parts, for profit. Planned Parenthood denied the charges and pointed out that the videos were heavily edited to present a false picture of recorded conversations. The Center for Medical Progress, who released it, was subsequently raided by the California Justice Department, headed up by then Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris. The videos, however, provoked a firestorm of attacks from anti-abortion activists and Republican politicians. The result was a wave of calls to defund Planned Parenthood. In fact, Planned Parenthood receives Medicaid funds as reimbursement for providing medical services to low-income people. And that's their story, and they're sticking to it. I do believe they are selling aborted baby body parts. And let us never forget the famous racist eugenicist Margaret Sanger, founder of the first birth control clinic in America, Go read her writings if you don't believe me, and it will. They always want to downplay that, but somehow, some way, it's a big liberal thing to be pro-abortion and pro-Margaret Sanger. So we'll just leave that there. And here's our segue to the news. This is yesterday. Since it was yesterday, I thought we would play it at the beginning of Simon from Weaponized News, his appearance on George Galloway yesterday. Oh, before we get to that, George Galloway, veteran, MP, and leader of Workers' Party, was detained at Gatwick under the UK Terrorism Act after returning from Moscow. Counter-terror police also stopped his wife. Comes amid a wider climate of political persecution in Britain. So I don't like George Galloway much over there, turns out. Here is Simon from Weaponized News on the Galloway show yesterday.
One where the legend that is Simon from Weaponized News has a thing or two to say on King Tony of Gaza. Go ahead, Simon.
Greetings to you, Mr. Galloway, or as you shall hereafter be known, Norman Stanley Fletcher of Porridge fame. I would also like to give my greetings to your worldwide audience, of course. This is my 99th call, so I'm very close to your challenge.
Oh, wow.
And indeed, there has been a great deal going on while you were not arrested but otherwise detained. And today we have the Moldovan elections, and the assembled forces of NATO are on the Romanian border, ready to intervene should they not achieve the desired result, having arrested two leaders of the opposition, jailed one, and banned two major opposition parties, just in case people should be inclined to vote the wrong way round. It should be noted, of course, today that we have the Labour Party conference occurring, despite Keir Starmer's record low opinion poll ratings. And he'll no doubt be most reassured that the good folk of Switzerland have voted at their second asking, because of course the EU always asks you to vote twice if you vote the wrong way round the first time, as the good folks of Holland and Ireland know to their cost. They voted by 50.4% to accept their version of digital identity. But it should be noted, when you see government ministers clamouring how the great bastion of democracy going back to 1000 AD is embracing this form of digital imprisonment, that this was a massively scaled back version. It's literally just to prove what your name and whether or not you're over 18. So it's not linked to all your health records and your library records and your bank records and your tax records and the last row you had with your wife and all these other kind of pieces of information that the British government now seemed determined to force us to sign up for, should we wish to remain in employment or ever take a new job. Lisa Nandy has been very, very clear in expressing just how great the scope of that will be. But talking, of course, of the evil Tony Blair, whose son, Ewan Blair, member of the British Empire, otherwise known by various other acronyms, he turns out to be deeply involved in the company that would be operating the digital ID scheme. That's a sheer coincidence, of course. And Tony Blair's only available to become the head of the new Gaza imprisonment committee because he's essentially achieved his goal that he's been working on with Bill Gates since UNID 2020 was introduced in 2016. It's a very, very long-term scheme that they have hatched, is moving on from one act of imprisonment to another act of imprisonment for the long-suffering people in Gaza. Getting to the point of Netanyahu's meeting with President Trump, which is due to start tomorrow. He's right now in crisis meetings in the United States with members of the Judea and Samaria, as he would call them, yeshivas and councils who have flown delegates overnight to the United States to try and make sure that he doesn't back down on the annexation of the West Bank, because it seems that Trump has promised to members of the Arab League who he met with during the UN week that he would not accede to that. And that's one of the key points of the 21 that the Israelis want to make sure doesn't go any further, along with the point that a UN/Arab force is going to be responsible for the security of Gaza. The Israelis are absolutely adamant against that as well. So there's some very, very severe sticking points that Netanyahu is going to somehow try and reconcile with Trump. And as we know, Trump tends to do the last thing that was whispered into his ear. And this, unfortunately, is going to be the last thing. But we may not hear the outcome because we're only 3 days away from the entire United States government being shut down once again. The Democrats have come up with a very, very bold request for $1 trillion of additional healthcare spending. Heaven forbid that we would ever do that instead of giving it to the Department of War, as it's obviously renamed now. But they do seem to indeed be at loggerheads. And there's going to be another emergency meeting between the leader and opposition leader of the House of Representatives and the US Senate with President Trump before he meets with Netanyahu. So lots of things to watch on Monday. And I wish you well, sir, and would suggest you might want to think about some resistance to interrogation training before you next travel overseas.
Thank you very much indeed. 99 calls not out. I look forward to your century, your 100th. And by the way,
great call there. Into Galloway. Bye, Simon. Again, shout out to Simon, George Galloway, Mode Show. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Okay. To the digital ID, man. They rolled it out there in UK. So Big Brother has rolled it out. We're there, man. We're there. We're in the technocracy, neck deep in it. Remember, it was miracle passports for your health originally. And that didn't pan out. And now they're like, just, you need it because, so you can work because of the legals that we let in. Now we're, yeah. Huh? Yep. You just need it. We don't even know why. I was watching this one video. They're asking Keir Starmer, why do we need this? And he's like, well, you need it because we need technocracy. Just come out and say it. We need a social credit score. We need to crack down on thinking, essentially, and any dissent here now. And we're using the illegal immigration engineered by the United Nations and national governments to go ahead and use as the problem that they created for the solution, which is your total digital enslavement here now. Mark of the beast. Anyone? Did anyone say mark of the beast? We're like lining up here, right, with biblical prophecy, almost like they're following the book here now. Okay. Yeah, so as Simon mentioned there, Swiss voters, allegedly, you believe any of these? Maybe, I don't know. All elections are 100% legitimate, right, YouTube? Yep. Swiss voters narrowly approved plan for electronic ID cards. Yesterday, Swiss voters approved a plan for voluntary, it's always voluntary, they tell you, until it ain't, voluntary electronic ID cards with a 50.4 voting in favor and 49.6 against. That like a 1% margin there, right? But democracy, they scream at you. So, 1% voted for your enslavement there on the margin. Well, are you against slavery? The other 49.6% Swedes? You know what I mean? So, democracy, they scream at you. And of course, none of these Democratic elections have never been, rigged. Of course, we know that. They're all 100% legitimate. And democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. I think that's famous from, to paraphrase some of our founding fathers of America here. But democracy, they scream at you. Contrary to polls predicting up to 60% in favor. It's just so ridiculous. Supporters highlight the convenience of digital IDs, streamlining tasks like verifying age or nationality for bureaucratic processes. Well, by all means, anything I can do to help the government, keep me enslaved here. I mean, my God. However, opponents who forced the referendum warn that the measure could still undermine individual privacy. You don't say? The most secure systems ever. Huh? They're hacked every other day. Who cares? And fear potential misuse for tracking or marketing. They've already done it here. Okay, then we don't even need it. We don't even need it here in America, and I'm sure all around the world, in the West at least, where highly technically advanced civilizations, they tell us they got everything databased on one profile for you. Doge, i.e. with Palantir, took the information silos that were in government agencies here in America and integrated them all together so they can know your social security status, your healthcare status, your tax status, go down the list, and it's all there for your termination in the very near future. It seems that's the way everything's going. But thankfully, the Swiss are more optimistic about a social credit score system already implemented there in China. Maybe they'll just use it for marketing. You know what I mean? There's no insidious nature of government whatsoever. Just continue to be naive fools, and then everything will work out just fine for you. So yeah, sadly, 1% margin. Man, oh man. Swiss voted in for their own electronic slavery here now. But again, the most secure elections ever. They've never been hacked, even though we know that's why they are electronic, so they can hack them. Who cares? You know what I mean? Freedom was nice, but slavery in this digital age for the tech bro oligarchs is the cool, trendy thing for the future. So that's what we have to look forward to. In narrow referendum, it was a 1% margin. I'd say that's within the margin of error, and we need a revote. Let's take a look at an explanatory video coming out of Switzerland. What can I do with my EID? Because it's all about for your convenience.
Helvetia, do I really need an EID?
That's up to you. The EID has many advantages, especially if you use it online.
Interesting. Tell me more.
The EID is a simple and secure way to identify yourself on the internet. For example, if you want to play an online game that is for adults only.
I have a niece who's very young, so I see how that makes sense.
Or if you need something from a government office and don't want to go in person, you can use EID. It's quick and easy to order an e-extract from the criminal record, or your electronic driver's license, for example.
There's an electronic driving license now?
Yes, you can order your electronic driver's license online for free and have it instantly in your smartphone wallet in the same app where you already have your EID.
Does that mean I can leave my old wallet at home?
As long as you have your phone with you, yes.
I always have my phone with me.
Even if you don't end up using your EID every day, you will probably want to store other important electronic information in your phone's wallet.
What kind of information do you mean?
The trust infrastructure that will be built for the EID can be used in other ways too. For example, you can keep your concert tickets, insurance cards, or other membership cards in your phone's wallet, so they are always at hand.
Wow, this is going to be big.
If everyone participates, Switzerland will take a big step forward in digitalization with the EID. You could also say that's one small step for you, Marco, one giant leap for digital Switzerland.
There you go. Isn't your digital slavery so cute, funny, and trendy? This Dual Helix says AI slop. I agree. Right from the Swiss government. Here it is, right on their website. That's where this video came from. See, all for your own convenience. We're there, man. We're there. And then the Brit ID card. Let's watch this. And of course, none of this would ever happen. This is just a hypothetical situation. Of course, all of this will happen and much worse. But it's all for our own good.
Can I see your Brit card, please?
I don't have one. I don't have a smartphone.
Can I get another pint, please? Sorry, sir. Your Brit card says you've exceeded your alcohol quota for this week.
Sorry, sir. Your Brit card says you've already flown twice this year. We're having to restrict passengers with higher than average emissions profiles.
Sorry, I'm afraid your funds have been temporarily frozen. Your recent social media post did not align with the government's narrative.
Sorry, I'm afraid your Brit card says you cannot purchase any more meat this week as part of our commitment to achieving net zero.
I've just logged in using my Brit card and it's saying I've already had 3 hours of internet today and it's locked me out. Can I see?
That may seem absurd. It's a lot. It's going to be worse than that. Where's your Brit card? The weaponized Terminators will be seeing you soon. Okay, on to the greatest man in the history of the world, genocidal, homicidal, bloodthirsty maniac, Netanyahu, shadow president of America, went there to the White House today. And it should have been like, they should have made it a national holiday, I guess, because Trump praises genocide.
From the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close.
There you go. From out of their mouth. Here is, see if we can spy a Freemason handshake here. They're making it harder. I think they got the message. People are spying their Freemason handshakes. So like change the angle here on the handshake. But here's the customary handshake video of foreign leaders arriving at the American White House to greet Trump. Here is the real shadow president of America. Let's take a look and see if we can spy a Freemason handshake here in this clip.
Ready, face, forward, watch.
See, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to see in that from that angle, and I think it was filmed like that by design, so we couldn't spy it. But here you go. Tucker, I guess he works for Qatar. I think he works for the intelligence agency, but whatever, dude. Let's hear what he had to say about this.
I'm an American. You can't treat... It's too humiliating. I can't handle that. Bibi's running around. This is a fact. I'm not guessing about this because I talked to people he said it to. He's running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country and telling people point blank, just stating it, I control the United States. I control Donald Trump. He's saying that. And again, I'm not guessing at all. That's a fact. And I dare them to say that's not true because it is true and they know it's true. So I'm an American. How do you think that makes me feel? Even if I didn't vote for Trump, which I did vote. I campaigned for Trump. But even if it was Joe Biden, I'm an American. You can't treat It's too humiliating. I can't handle that. And I shouldn't have to put up with that. This is a country of 9 million people. I'm attacking my leaders who are allowing my nation of 350 million people to be forced into doing things that are bad for me and my children because of some other country. Like, that is a violation of the most basic arrangement we have with our leaders, which is represent us, please, at least most of the time, and they're not. And there's an ongoing humiliation ritual designed to make us all crazy, designed to turn us into haters. I will never accept this. I shouldn't have to accept it. I have nothing to be ashamed of. This is wrong, and if it's not wrong, tell me how it's not wrong. Why don't you stop attacking me and my trying to get family members fired, which they never stop doing? Why don't you instead tell me how you disagree with me? But they can't, because they don't actually have an argument. There's no way to justify controlling the U.S. government for the purposes of another country's expansion. There's no way to justify that. And so they just scream at you and call you names.
There you go. Clear antiseptic Tucker. And probably the worst display of antiseptic behavior we've seen as of late. Anti-Zionist ultra-Orthodox aardvarks protest outside the White House. And so these are the worst of the worst antiseptics. There you go. Continuing here today, well, let's hear from Trump. Today is a historic day for peace. They're killing the hell out of people over there right now as we speak. I don't know what delusional land this is we're in here, but I guess it's called technocracy.
So this is a big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're going to, at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East. And let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible. Incredible. Every single one.
So they had what they're calling a trilateral call today between Aardvarkland, America, and Qatar.
And earlier today, we took another important step toward greater understanding in the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar was. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And his people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they've played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do that.
So there you go. Trump's going to be a propagandist for Qatar. He just admitted right there backhandedly. It did seem quite sarcastic. And I see in the chat they're saying Trump's tired. No, he knows he's lying. He's just straight lying. The never-ending lying does suck the energy out of you, I would say. More of these lies.
So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace.
I hear you, dick moves. Would the Union Jack be displayed if Keir Starmer was president? Or for that matter, any other foreign country, would their flag be displayed like that? You know what I mean? No, I don't know. We'll have to keep track. But I can't remember this type of display. Remember 50 states and one aardvark land? That whole ridiculous conference from last week or a week and a half ago.
They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them, and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. A terrible thing, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them, and they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny. Fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success.
Yeah, they don't give a damn about the hostages. It was always about the real estate redevelopment project, Greater Aardvark land. Come on, man. We'll skip the next clip. Where are we at here? Okay, let's go over the Trump peace plan. This is from the White House. President Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict There's no conflict. There's an ethnic cleansing genocide going on there. Number one, Gaza will be de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. So Gaza's bombing Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iran, Iraq. Huh? Okay. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. If both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Aardvark forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for the complete staged withdrawal. I don't believe any of this, but this is what they're saying. Within 72 hours of Aardvark land publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned. Once all hostages are released, Aardvark land will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after October 7, 2023, the worst attack in the history of the world, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Aardvark hostage who remains are released, Aardvark land will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. So there you have a 15-to-1 ratio on human life. That's very good of them. It was 100-to-1 or something like this. So they've went down for this exchange of dead hostages. Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members created by the West, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty, i.e. lined up and shot. I added that part, excuse me. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. At a minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what is included in the January 19, 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. Entry of distribution and aid in the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated in any manner with either party. Opening Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism. Under the January 19, 2025 agreement, Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional government of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. This commitment will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body named, quote, the Board of Peace. There you go. And they even mentioned the Butcher of Baghdad, Tony Blair. And so you know it's totally legitimate there, which will be headed up and chaired by Trump with other members and heads of states to be announced, including former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, war criminal, but he cares about the Palestinians, let me tell you. As we've continued to report here at Weaponized News, This body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's 2020 peace plan and Saudi French proposal, and can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. This body will call on best international standards to create modern and efficient governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attracting investment. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and re-energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups. Of course, they're well-meaning and not profiteers off of genocide, and will be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunities, and hope for future Gaza. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them opportunity to build a better Gaza. Sure, bud. Hamas and other factions agreed to not have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization of Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use through an agreed upon process of decommissioning and supporting by the internationally funded buyback and reintegration program, all verified by independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and a peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. A guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and the factions comply with their obligations, and that New Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors or its people. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force to immediately deploy in Gaza. The ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have extensive experience in this field. This force will be the long-term internal security solution. The ISF will work with Aardvarkland and Egypt to help secure border areas along with newly trained Palestinian police forces. It is critical to prevent munitions from entering Gaza and to facilitate the rapid and secure flow of goods to rebuild and revitalize Gaza. A deconfliction mechanism will be agreed upon by the parties. Aardvarkland will not occupy or annex Gaza. As the ISF establishes control and stability, the IDF will withdraw based on standards, milestones, and timeframes linked to demilitarization that will be agreed upon by the IDF, ISF, and grantors and the United States, with the objective of a secure Gaza that no longer poses a threat to Aardvarkland, Egypt, or its citizens. Practically, the IDF will progressively hand over the Gaza territory it occupies to the ISF, according to an agreement they will make with the transitional authority until they are withdrawn completely from Gaza, save for a security perimeter presence that will remain until Gaza is properly secure from any resurgent terror threat. In the event Hamas delays or rejects this proposal, the above, including the scaled up aid operation, will proceed in a terror-free areas handed over from the IDF to the ISF. An intra-faith dialogue process will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to try and change mindsets and narratives of Palestinians and aardvarks by emphasizing the benefits that can be derived from peace, while Gaza redevelopment advances, and when the PA reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. The United States will establish a dialogue between Aardvark land and the Palestinians to agree on a political horizon for peace and prosperous coexistence. And here's the map thumbnail of today's show, and you can see how it's all carved up real nicely here. The IDF current line of control. And so all of this, initial withdrawal hostage release area in around the yellow line there. Second withdrawal when ISF mobilized per standard set in Trump plan. You can see right there. And then third withdrawal security buffer zone. You can see right here, the shaded area right there. The plotted outcome, indeed there, Mac, on the YouTube. Well, don't be antiseptic. I don't know if these guys, these aardvarks protesting in the White House heard the news, but Bibi tells U.S. influencers TikTok is already secured as aardvark's key propaganda tool to sway right-wing audiences. And so this was a meetup with, quote, influencers, propagandists for genocide, essentially, is who these people are. And so Bibi had a message for us. And we do appreciate the propaganda, the lies coming out of these maniacs. Let's hear now from Bibi a little bit more. And he also does he also mention the information war? I think he does in our next clip. We have a few clips here. They're gearing up to censor you. And so they gave you enough rope to hang yourself. Blame the aardvarks. I hate aardvarks all day on the interwebs. It's all over the place. You see it. Now they're coming to crack down. As we continue to, we've warned from the beginning that this is exactly what would happen. And so sadly enough, aardvark hate has overtaken many. And so, but we warned you, don't be a fool. We've seen this program before for public health. Now they're just applying it in this regard as they're turning the screws on digital ID, i.e. technocracy.
Christian influencers, okay? He said, we talked about the woke right, and he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke right, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class. TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpart? Yes.
They already lost the information war. Now they're just going to come and try to clean up and censor it. The noticing already happened, right? Again. Their own IDF soldiers post their war crimes all over the interwebs. And so it doesn't matter what kind of anti-Semitic hate other people post. It's their own post that the International Criminal Court used as the basis for indictments of these war criminals. So don't get their lies twisted about what all has gone on and led up to this point. It wasn't anti-Semitic TikTokers. It was their own soldiers. But now they took over TikTok, so good job. Aardvark's Larry Ellison of Oracle controls a large portion of American media. It doesn't matter. They've already lost the information war due to their own actions. Aardvark News Syndicate CEO Alex Trayman, let's just hear let's hear him. And they're openly admitting. And what's this? Bibi admits this is an information war. Indeed it is. But let's hear from this guy, and then we'll hear more from Bibi about the information war.
Planes and best precision-guided weapons, offensive and defensive. And Israel may or may not have, ambiguity intended here, the world's most powerful weapons to serve as a deterrent against any force that seeks our annihilation. Israel has fought and continues to fight bravely on 7 fronts. The Prime Minister refers to the Battle of Information as the 8th front. It is actually this 8th front where our enemies believe they can actually defeat the Jewish state. Ladies and gentlemen, we must not let that happen, and we will not let that happen. Just as Israel has invested billions and billions of dollars into securing Israel's qualitative military edge on the battlefield, we must now invest heavily in the information battlefield. We are being dramatically outspent by our opponents, who control the newsrooms of the mainstream media, who control university Middle Eastern study centers, and who control the world's most powerful social media algorithms and bot farms. I'm calling today for the supporters of Israel to make a massive investment into the information battlefield. Like every other battlefront, this is an arena that we can and must win. We must take all of our technological expertise and all of our available resources to develop methods to launch and win a significant counter-information campaign. Even with massive investment, we may not see an immediate turnaround, but the Jewish story is a long one. We can and will win back public opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, the decisions that are being made by Israel's Prime Minister and the victories on the kinetic battlefield have the potential to usher in an era of peace and prosperity in Israel and across the greater Middle East. When this happens, Israel must be well positioned to ultimately win the battle of narratives.
By Fat Bob. See, they're telling you, but it's too late. They already lost. Okay, the noticing has already happened. Here's Bibi now telling us about Aardvark land in the information war. What does he say? He thinks. Think of these traitors to America. Sean McGuire and Mark Levin. He's thanking them for their efforts in the information war here now, i.e. propaganda and lies to support genocide.
You did an amazing job. The context issue, you hit them right on the nose. Tila Falek, part of the Falek family, our dear friends. Sean McGuire of Sequoia, you joined the battle, and we welcome it. Of course, we have Ambassador Danny Danon and Consul General Ophir Akunis holding the fort here in America, and Jonathan Tobin of JNS, and of course, how's he called? The great Mark Levin. I mean, the great Mark Levin, just a man of courage and truth and an indomitable spirit.
So literally the opposite, a coward, lying piece of trash.
And we even went to the same high school. He is more than a friend. He is a guardian of Israel. The main message I want to leave with you today is that we must fight, and we must fight on all fronts until we achieve victory. It's not always easy. Some of it will take longer in some arenas than others, but we have to achieve victory. And the most important place where we have to fight is the battle for truth. The battle against the vilifications and the lies that are hurled at our people. That's been the case for millennia, and these lies change form as they do now, but we have to continue fighting them. I don't think we'll get rid of them, but we can mitigate their damage. The most important thing that has happened to our people is that before the rise of Israel, these lies always preceded a massacre, and often successful massacres and pogroms and exiles, culminating in the worst massacre of them all in the Holocaust. The great change that has happened is, one, yes, we're able to also fight the lies to a point, and two, we're able to defend ourselves, and defend ourselves with all the power and might of the Jewish people.
Again, who's lying? You're lying. We're going off of your own army's videos, statements. Let's take the live break here now. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself a holograph sticker. Holograph sticker there. The white background sticker and the clear sticker you can see here. Put on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your work locker, your Cybertruck are some of the places people have got these stickers and said they put them. Weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers. We take donations. Buy me a coffee, Cash App. Our Bitcoin address is in the description below this video. However you may choose to support, we truly appreciate it. Give us a share, a like on this video. And again, thank you to everybody who has contributed, however small it may be. We appreciate it. Our monthly subscribers, we truly appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. And again, shout out to Simon, George Galloway. Every time Simon goes on there, we get a few followers here now. But we just showed you, they're censoring. It's been censored. They're turning the screws here now, right? And so, Weaponized News, we're victims. I don't play the victim, but it's self-evident at this point. We're throttled, shadow banned. People are constantly reporting to me. I even got notifications turned on for your channel because I want to watch your show. It don't give me a notification. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what we're up against. Anybody and everybody on the interwebs pushing back against this global tyranny is facing these things. So that's why your support is so important here now. And I truly do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue. Now was that whole, we got more of the Aardvark news at the end of the show, but on to Trump to impose a 100% tariff on, quote, any and all movies made outside the United States in a bid to reclaim Hollywood, which was stolen by foreign countries. Was it stolen? Really? So we want you to have American propaganda. Our movies make business, our movie making business, well, let me put it on the screen. Here's the post from Trump. Our movie making business has been stolen from the United States of America. by other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby. California, with its weak and incompetent governor, has been particularly hard hit. Does Trump write these? I don't know. Is it AI? Is it Barron? Who's writing these posts? Anyhow, therefore, in order to solve this long time, never ending problem, I will impose 100% tariff on any and all movies that are made outside of the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It don't make sense. It's not made to make sense. You know what I mean? I want to make a movie shot on location in freaking Venice. You know what I mean? Well, you can't do it because of Trump's 100% tariffs. Freedom, America, USA, USA, USA. And more of this occult behavior. You got to see this, MAGA. Tell your MAGA friends. I know they're blinded and refuse to see it, but the decadence of Trump is shining through here now. He says, as we continue to report here, the ridiculous gaudiness of the gold. Some of the highest quality 24-karat gold used in the Oval Office and cabinet room of the White House. Foreign leaders and everyone else, quote, freak out when they see the quality and beauty. Best Oval Office ever in terms of success and look. Really? He's bragging about the freaking gold in there, man. It's just like there's no end to the narcissism of this maniac. Sadly, Democrat mayor there out of New York City, Eric Adams, has announced that he has dropped out of the New York City mayoral race. And so that's very sad for the tyrant that he is. And then how much reporting can we even do about this nonsense? I had a whole segment lined up, and I just don't even feel like wasting anybody's time. I don't think anybody even cares at this point. So our annual seasonal government shutdown season's here. And let's blame what do they call it? And this is extreme rhetoric coming out of the White House, but we wouldn't expect anything different. Democrats threaten a shutdown over radical left insanity. And it goes through the quotes. I think we covered this before. So there you go. Blame your favorite left-wing radical insane person out of the Democrat Party, and not the entire government needs to be shut down on general principle for the tyranny that it is. And so the Republicans are going to spend pointing at the Democrats. And then, of course, they're all hypocrites. But here we thought we had a based John Fetterman for about 5 seconds. Turns out he's just a hack shill as well. And here's a clip from Fetterman. So I can no longer support, even if this is this even the original Fetterman? Remember all that weirdness that went on with Fetterman and the lump on his neck and medical issues? Who cares? Let's just support whoever this joker is claiming to be the federal senator out of Pennsylvania, John Fetterman.
Where are you on this issue, and do you expect a government shutdown Tuesday night?
Where I'm at, where I've always been, and I will always remain on, is it is always, always wrong to shut our government down. That is a core responsibility. I'm always going to vote against those things.
That's horrific. So he's out. He's out. Will they say JD Texan says Trump just posted a commercial for weed on True Social? The federal government does need to reschedule, I do believe. But I do also believe that some of the marijuana out there has been weaponized. So of course, only for adults, and take some responsibility if you're messing with this stuff, because some of it is strong out there. I had all these quotes from Democrats exposing their hypocrisy, but does it even matter? Because when my guy's in there, I'm for a government shutdown, and when your guy's in there, I'm not. Allegedly, the White House has $1.5 trillion dollar, is it trillion, billion? What even is it? I lost track. I think they say trillion for illegal alien healthcare funding is a sticking point between the Democrats and Republicans now, when at the end of the day, we know they all support unlimited size of government, flushing your hard-earned tax money down the toilet and then pointing the finger at you and saying you're bad. And so regardless of Democrat or Republican, they're all in the same crime syndicate known as your government. And so we play the blame game once again here now. And it's just so tiring and idiocracy level of stupid. And so I don't believe they'll even shut it down. You know what I mean? But it's fun to be a distraction and take up our time with, if only they say the majority of Americans want to keep, well, I guess so. When so many are dependent, how about we take a step back and say, hey, we need as few people as possible. I realize if you're disabled, you have some other type of serious major problem, then you may need some help from government. But this other 2 million plus federal workers and the like, we all need to get off of government. I'm not on any government myself. All I do is pay into a never-ending black hole of government debt through my taxes, where I could very easily be using that money for some type of positive investment. But that's a different story. Taxation is theft. But so that's going to play out this week, back and forth. It's also tiring. What do we got here? Well, they wrapped up last week. They had this big, long bat conference. Let's see from as they continue to campaign, that is your federal health department, Health and Human Services, CDC, all of our favorite characters here that care so much about our health. Here's a mashup from HHS about long COVID roundtable, excuse me, there, but this is what is the official name of it, that the government's calling it. I don't think they mention, and we did have one mask wearer there, so one diehard in this video, staying true to the game, as you can see, this character right here, glad he's keeping everyone safe. And no mention of long bat problems being a miracle injury, I don't believe here now. And that should be, I'm not saying I know anything even about it, but I'm saying it should be considered as a possibility at the very least.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Today we're launching a long COVID consortium, and it's in response to the calls that I get almost every day from people who are suffering from long COVID across the country. So this is partially a listening session, but it's a lot more than that. It's a session in which we are seeking to find alternatives. We're seeking to find solutions.
So I'm here today representing and fighting for the 20 million Americans with long COVID.
Long COVID is real.
20 million? They said 20 million Americans have long bat. That's crazy. That's the official government number. You just heard them say it.
It's been underestimated and overestimated. We are here today to try to help those who are suffering.
I had long COVID starting in March of 2020. I've had it for 5.5 years now. I alone have had 170 plus symptoms, some very severe. I can tell you long COVID is a unique kind of health.
My kids and I all have long COVID. I've had my journey of the long COVID affecting my connective tissue in all of my body where I could not even walk or move. Have utilized lots of different treatments. We are just grateful.
Dick Moves wants the aardvark flag at the long bat conference. I know, we should be campaigning for that, Dick Moves. I hear you.
To have, be able to discuss this and to get some ideas to get people better.
It's a very complex disease. It is going to be important to limit the symptoms into categories and to try to compare apples to apples.
There's not going to be one drug that undoes everything for long COVID. We really have to look at each patient individually, the same way that we do with HIV care, the same way that we do with cancer care. We need to really understand the uniqueness of each patient.
I've heard so many great ideas from some of the physicians in the room and from patients themselves. It's going to be a collaboration. I want to see that those ideas are incorporated in our research agenda.
We are putting more facts on the table, bringing more expertise, taking unstructured data and starting to add structure to it so that it can lead to more solutions that everyone will have access to.
I want to thank this extraordinary pantheon of great researchers for being here and for your commitment to solving this problem for our country. We want to work.
So is long bat a problem? I don't know. They say it is. They don't mention miracle injuries here, though, but they say 20 million affected by it. Quite horrific indeed. More from HHS. They say SAM HSA awards more than $45 million in supplemental funding to support young adult sober housing services. There you go. We're connecting youth struggling with addiction to services that save American lives, they claim here now. Was that at the Laugh Factory? Okay. More than a dozen pages on the CDC website related to sex and gender identity, health, equity, and other topics have been taken down, according to CNBC. And then we have Mr. Technocracy, head of the CDC, Jim O'Neill, say we're off to a good start. And see, great rhetoric coming out of Jim O'Neill. And I would say this guy's awesome, but he has this suspicious background of working as a managing director at Peter Thiel's venture capital firm. And so that just, tarnishes his images in my eyes. Maybe I shouldn't be such a anti-technocracy guy, you know what I mean? But all signs point to slavery that will literally never be able to get out of here. So I'm kind of concerned, but call me paranoid, I guess. So they put out this announcement now. It will be ignored, obviously, because it's, Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. But you've been put on notice. Announcement that physicians will be notified that the use of acetaminophen, Tylenol during pregnancy can be associated with increased risk of autism. Well, who cares? You know what I mean? They're like, we'll take more Tylenol, F you. So more power to you then. You know what I mean? And then Maha wins again. Exclusive Swedish fish maker Mondelez will switch food dyes to natural, not synthetic. What the hell's a Swedish fish maker? You know what I mean? It's like, what? Oh, man. Swedish fish maker. So they're claiming to be God here or the creator, apparently. Well, more power to them there. And they're helping us win by removing food dyes from synthetic and turning them natural. Why do we need to dye our fish? Who cares? Take some Tylenol. We had those two reports going back on this day in history of the cyanide-laced Tylenol cases there out of Chicago. And so drink it down to be defiant against, Bobby Kennedy Jr. I would advise you here now. And by the way, over the weekend, we did do a medical freedom rally here in Fresno, California. I was part of, and it was to thank Bobby Kennedy Jr. And so I did it to be, supportive of the members there, as I don't thank anyone in government and they will never regain my trust. But again, and this some hack from NBC, I forget even her name, but a big pharma propaganda shill did retweet our very small rally trying to make fun of us and troll us that there were only 12 people at their rally there. You know what I mean? Thanking Bobby Kennedy Jr., and that was organized through the Children's Health Defense Fund, and so on and so on and so on. But we did get the attention of big pharma propagandists, and so we do appreciate your efforts to, keep us healthy and help rebuild our trust in public health there. Okay, continuing. What do we make of this? It's getting crazy. The propaganda coming out of the Department of Homeland Security. They put out this meme. CNN, I feel bad for you. I don't think about you at all. First on Fox, the Department of Homeland Security social media impressions outpaced the viewership of both MSNBC and CNN over the summer. So there you go. The propaganda coming out of your government is better than your corporate propaganda. Well, it kind of helps when you have your thumb on the algorithm there. DHS averaged 6,395,700 daily impressions in July compared to MSNBC's 738,000 viewers in prime time. So there you go. Government propaganda is dominating your corporate propaganda. And we wouldn't have it any other way for as much tax money as we put into this whole operation. We appreciate it a lot. So thank you very much, government, for the never-ending propaganda and lies perpetrated on our minds. What else do we got here? More about DHS. DHS tells us in this post that under the leadership of Ice Barbie, dog killer, Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security terminated the Quiet Skies program, a highly politicized watch list program that undermined aviation and national security. Since its existence, the Quiet Skies program failed to stop a single terrorist while costing U.S. taxpayers $200 million a year. Biden-era TSA abuses revealed. TSA in its existence since Saddam attacked us on 9/11, which never happened. It was a total fabrication and lies. They've never stopped one terrorist. So actually, TSA should be abolished. The Department of Homeland Security should be abolished, and so on and so forth. And don't re-up the Patriot Act as well. But we know that keeping us safe from terrorism is not the purpose of any of these programs. Here's some good propaganda repurposed coming out of your ICE there. Join.ice.gov. Greatness is a choice. Join ICE now. And then we have a funny video coming up here. And hey, resisting ICE, and I'm still waiting for them to go ahead and arrest local government, sanctuary, cities, states, and the like that want to resist the federal government enforcing federal immigration law, which is one of the few duties I do believe that they should be doing in this country. When a local jail or prison honors an ICE immigration detainer, removable aliens go from local custody to federal custody with no chance to harm the public. They don't give a damn if they harm the public, but we'll just act like they really care about our health and safety here now. Number of law enforcement officers needed to arrest a criminal alien. Uncooperative jurisdiction, it takes 8 to 10. ICE needs more officers to help the public from unpredictable behavior by an at-large criminal attempting to evade justice. In cooperative jurisdictions, it only takes 2 ICE officers. ICE can arrest a criminal alien with as few as 2 officers in a safe controlled location like a jail or court lockup area. And then this one right here. ICE agents chase after man in Chicago after he made a verbal comment. And so look at your federal ICE agents here keeping us safe. And so that guy made it out of there by the skin of his little teeth there, didn't he? Just for an agent, but hey, it takes 10 in uncooperative districts now to arrest one illegal alien, apparently, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has ordered 200 members of Oregon National Guard to be federalized immediately for a period of 60 days as ICE facilities there in Portland are under attack by the radical left wing, according to the federal government. And so there you go. More federalization and militarization of police here in America, i.e. martial law. We wouldn't have it any other way because freedom, America, public safety, and the government cares about us. Okay, quickly, we're already at an hour and a half. We did have a lot to cover today. There was these shootings. I don't know what to make of them. Multiple people shot at Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, obviously there. Tragic event, you know what I mean? Guy, ran his truck into the place. Mormon church gunman was a Marine who supported Trump. So there you go. MAGA terrorism. Thomas Jacob Stamford, 40, killed by police after ramming truck into Michigan church and opening fire on worshipers. Quite horrific. Quite horrific indeed over the weekend. Tragic event there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. Marine veteran in custody after 3 killed, at least 8 injured in shooting at a waterfront bar in North Carolina over the weekend as well. A 40-year-old Marine veteran shot up this waterfront bar in North Carolina. Another senseless tragedy. Marine veteran received the Purple Heart for his service in Iraq. I don't know, man. These illegal foreign wars of aggression that our servicemen went and served in, they send them back home and they are pretty messed up, man. And I've seen it in my own family and it's horrific. And that's why I'm so anti-war. And so whether it's shell shock, CTE, post-traumatic stress syndrome, whatever you want to call it, they're seriously psychologically messed up from these wars. They're put on all these different antipsychotic drugs, SSRIs, who knows what kind of therapy they're getting, who knows what kind of MK Ultra mind control program the government put them in. They're in their military service. We don't know any of this and probably never will be disclosed, but sadly, we're at a cliff of like 22 to 19, somewhere in that range of U.S. military veterans commit suicide every day in this country. And some of them just say F it and go on a shooting rampage. And who knows? Are they wound up by the government? Very possibly. Are they just on their own, lone wolf gunmen? Possibly. We just don't know. And we never will get the truth out of the FBI, the federal government, the military. They're going to spin their narrative to suit their needs, as is the trend here now. But these 2 very tragic cases over the weekend, just needless killings going on here, quote, mass shootings. And so on to why do we conform? Let's watch this post from Truth Stream Media about the Ash conformity experiments.
But an experiment is not a public opinion poll. It examines behavior under the pressure of social forces, as the experiment of Solomon Asch reveals.
The experiment you'll be taking part in today involves the perception of lengths of lines. As you can see here, I have a number of cards, and on each card there are several lines. Your task is a very simple one. You're to look at the line on the left and determine which of the 3 lines on the right is equal to it in length. All right, we'll proceed in this order. You'll give your answer.
Only one of the people in the group is a real subject, the 5th person with the white t-shirt. The others are confederates of the experimenter and have been told to give wrong answers on some of the trials. The experiment begins uneventfully as subjects give their judgments.
2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3.
But on the 3rd trial, something happens.
2, 2, 2, 2, 2.
The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence. Asch found subjects went along with the group on 37% of the critical trials. But he found through interviews that they went along with the group for different reasons.
1. 1. They must be right. There are 4 of them and 1 of me. 1.
This subject's yielding is based on a distortion of his judgment. He genuinely believes that the group is correct.
1. 1. 1. 2. 1. 2. 2. 2.
I know they're wrong, but why should I make waves?
2.
In this case, the subject knows he is right, but goes along to avoid the discomfort of disagreeing with the group. Here, the distortion is at the level of his response.
2. 2. 2. 2.
In the previous experiment, the naive subject stood alone against the group. In this variation, Asch gave the naive subject a partner, here seated in the 3rd position, who also gives the correct response.
1. 1. 2. 1. 2.
With a partner, yielding drops to only 5% of the critical trials compared to 37% without a partner. Although subjects report warmth and good feeling toward the partner, they typically deny that he played a role in their own independence. The partnership variation shows that much of the power of the group came not merely from its numbers, but from the unanimity of its opposition. When that unanimity is punctured, the group's power is greatly reduced. Sometimes we go along with the group because what they say convinces us they are right. This is called informational conformity. But sometimes we conform because we are apprehensive that the group will disapprove if we are deviant. This is called normative conformity. The strength of the normative factor is shown in another variation carried out by Asch. In this variation, the subject is told that because he had arrived late, he would have to write his answers. Subjects in this private response experiment are exposed to the same amount of misleading information as other subjects, but they are immune from any possible criticism by the group.
1. 1. 1.
And this enormously reduces the pressure to conform. Conformity drops by 2/3. Asch's experiment is a classic. It reveals how people will deny what they see and submit to group pressure. It allows us not only to observe conformity, but to study the conditions that increase or reduce its occurrence.
And they're studying it, and they've, as we just saw, mass formation psychosis. We lived through it during the medical intervention period, and so on and so on. You pick the subject, the tyranny, and the majority will comply. The social engineers know what they're doing, so we shall give them credit for that. This new study came out of the science of defiance, why people comply and how to resist. Well, you simply say, no, I will not comply. And some times for non-compliance are coming up here quickly. They haven't quite launched the digital ID here in America yet, but you better believe it's coming. In a nutshell, defiance isn't always loud. It can be as subtle as, that's what I suggest, nonviolent, saying no, or clarification, or pausing when pressured to comply. Compliance is the people often stay silent due to insulation, anxiety, the fear that refusal will signal distrust or disloyalty. A practice, not a trait. Defiance is a skill you can strengthen over time by anchoring actions in your core values and practicing small acts of resistance. That's key right there, everybody. That's all we can do is our own little circle of influence and our own actions, really, because we don't have giant aardvark media $1 billion propaganda campaigns, backing up our campaign for freedom here now on an individual level. The Defiance Compass, a 3-question framework. Who am I? What type of situation is this? And what does someone like me do? Helps guide when, how to resist. Why it matters today. In workplaces, politics, and daily life, learning to defy wisely protects personal integrity, strengthens institutions, and sustains democracy. Democracy, but I agree with most of the rest of this. And then we get to the top 10 key points of this study. Subtle nature of defiance. We kind of went over that already. You don't need to be loud or aggressive. It can be as simple as calmly saying no. Like when they say put on a mask, put this in your arm, follow the freaking arrows on the floor, stay 6 feet away from me, all of these type of things that we just went through. You can simply say no. You don't have to cause a scene or anything like this. Compliance as default behavior. People tend to comply silently due to insulation, anxiety, in-situation anxiety. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. Covered a lot today already, and we still got a lot to cover, so I got to blast through this. Fearing that refusal signals distrust or disloyalty to others. Well, if they're trying to lay tyranny down on you, they deserve to be distrusted, and you should be disloyal to them. Defiance as a learnable skill. It's not an inherent trait, but a practice that can be strengthened over time through small, consistent acts of resistance anchored in core values. I guess. The Defiance Compass Framework, a 3-question guide. We covered that. We'll say it again here. Who am I? What type of situation is this? And what does someone like me do? Helps decide when and how to resist effectively. Broader societal importance. Wise defiance protects the integrity, personal integrity, bolsters institutional health, and supports democratic principles in workplaces, politics, and everyday interactions. Personal anecdotes or unexpected defiance. Sarah recounts her mother's calm confrontation with racist insults, showing that resistance can come from seemingly compliant individuals. Definition of true defiance. It's about acting in accordance with one's values when faced with pressures to conform, not just being oppositional. Sources of pressure to comply. These can include authority figures like bosses, social influencers, friends, or cultural expectations to maintain harmony. This psychological barrier makes people comply to avoid the discomfort of implying others' dishonesty or wrongdoing. You know what else is, I assume, extremely discomfortable would be heart inflammation as one example. You know what I mean? Reference to Milgram's experiments, behavioral science, such as studies where participants obeyed orders to administer shocks, demonstrates the powerful pull of authority toward unethical compliance. And so that's another one, Milgram experiments. And they did all these psychological experiments, and they gathered all that data, and they're like, we're turning the screws on you here now. Trust us. It's for your safety and health. And so I would argue that everyone needs to take a look at their own morality here now. And I do believe there is such a thing as objective morality that everyone should take a look at here now. And essentially, it's don't steal. Is to boil it all down, very complex ideas down, boiling down to simply don't steal my life, my property, and my prosperity. And if you have that as a core principle and you're pressured into tyrannical behaviors and actions, then you can simply not comply by saying no, because it violates your core principle of following objective morality, i.e. natural law. Okay, continuing here. I felt like that was necessary. I saw these reports coming up. That one came on the radar. I was like, let's tie it all together. And let's all remember the great Ash experiments for conformity, the Milgram experiments for conformity, and many others as well. But those are the most famous ones that come to mind. And let's simply not conform with tyranny non-violently through the non-compliant act of simply saying no. And then we go on the threat escalation ladder, as they say. Okay. I got to blast through geopolitics here now. Did Russian propaganda TV, RT, uncover and I'm not saying do this, I would never advocate such things, but they put out this post, a scam on the Irish government. They say, be a migrant, fly to Ireland for asylum, fly home with 10,000 pounds, repeat, infinite money glitch unlocked. And of course, there's a troll by Russian TV, but it is a good point. Are, illegal alien, quote, asylum seekers running this scam? You better bet they are. Ireland to offer up to 10,000 pounds to migrant families if they drop asylum claims. Hell, I just may go claim asylum over there in Ireland and collect my 10,000 pounds. No, just kidding. But that's out there as one of many scams linked up to illegal immigration and false asylum claims. Iran executes one of the most important spies for Aardvark land. Report out of Reuters here. And so Iran executed a man named Bahman Chobi Asal today. The judiciary's news outlet Mazan said, saying the defendant was one of the most important spies for Aardvark land in Iran, intertwined in a decades-long shadow war with Aardvark land. Iran has executed many individuals it accused of having links to Aardvark land's Mossad intelligence service and facilitating its operations in the country. And so who freaking knows? You know what I mean? Iran are corrupt maniacs, just like Aardvark land, just like America, just like all of these governments. There are no good guys. So maybe this guy was a spy, maybe he wasn't. And they just say he's a spy and whack him. You know what I mean? Who knows? Trust the government. But that goes on in Aardvark land. And then what goes on in China when you're a corrupt politician? Turns out they sentence you to death. Do I hear it? Republican, Democrat? They just laugh in your face and spit on you and probably send the Department of Homeland Security or the IRS or pick your federal agency to come shake you down. Epstein was a Democrat hoax, and so on and so on and so on. But in China, And again, China government, they're no good either. Sorry to tell you. But in China, ex-agricultural minister sentenced to death. This character right here, this is what goes on in China for corrupt. If you step in a line with the party there, Tang Rinjian receives death sentence with reprieve for accepting $38 million worth of bribes between 2007 and 2024. How does your country treat corrupt politicians? Well, here they go on to work for a major industry in the revolving door and become chameleonaires, is how our country treats corrupt politicians here in America. And we wouldn't have it any other way. Segue to war profiteers. Pentagon wants missile makers to double or quadruple production of 12 critical weapons, Patriot and Interceptors, SM-6s, LRASMs, JASSMs, and PRSMs. These are all names of these different type of munitions and weapon systems. Missiles take 2+ years to build. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, adding workers, expanding factories. See, who cares if we're blowing up the world and it's World War III? All that money and death and destruction and bad karma on you. It's creating American jobs, right? That's what they tell us. That's what the State Department's line was during the Biden administration. And essentially, we're getting that same line here now. They haven't said it quite as directly as old Cynthia Freeland and old Blinken did, but a roundabout way, yeah. So war profiteers create jobs. What do you want out of life? Don't kill people? We're like this close with full-on war with Russia. Everybody yawns, but it's not looking good. Trump's Ukraine envoy, Keith Kellogg, on whether giving Ukraine the green light to fire Western weapons on targets deep inside Russia. And he says that reading what J.D. Vance and Rubio have said, the answer is yes. And Russia said that that's an act of war. You know what I mean? So we're like this close to Russia, saying they've already said EU and NATO are at war with Russia. We're this close to them saying America is at war with Russia. Putin, the most evil man in the world, has ordered Russia's largest fall draft in 9 years, calling up 135,000 men by the end of this year. We're not seeing an end in sight there. Old Maduro, a Venezuelan president, is ready to declare a state of emergency in Venezuela in case of U.S. aggression, AFP reports. Saudi Arabia and Jared Kushner to buy out video game company Electronic Arts. Video game giant Electronic Arts will be taken private in a record-setting $55 billion leverage buyout by a consortium that includes private equity firms, Silver Lake, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, and Jared Kushner's affinity partners, the company announced today. So they're going to take the money and run, and we look forward to aardvark propaganda in our EI video games. And so we do appreciate those efforts. Be aware. Trump organization to build a billion dollar Trump Plaza in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, because Saddam attacked us on 9/11. Oh, never mind. That's old history, right? The Trump administration, in partnership with London-listed developer Dar Global, announced plans for a $1 billion Trump Plaza project in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, marking its second venture in Saudi Arabia following Trump Tower launch in December of last year. And so we do appreciate the profiteering off the presidency by the Trump administration. We wouldn't have it any other way, that our public officials become kabillionaires off of their public service here in America, because we do heart corruption. And won't you look at this? And the question's been out there a long time. Why do the radical jihadist terrorists that we have to have a never-ending war on terror and launch numerous illegal foreign wars of aggression all around the world, and specifically targeting the West Asia region, why do they never seem to come find it upon themselves to attack aardvark land, i.e. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, name your spin-off group, actually puppets of Western intelligence, is what we've come to learn here now. But coincidentally enough, the World Aardvark Congress president, Ronald Lauder, here's these characters so you can see, just had a meetup with the former head of Al-Qaeda in Syria, now a great young man, according to Trump, their self-appointed president of Syria, al-Shara. And so isn't it funny how we're told that this guy's a jihadist on a religious holy war mission, but somehow he finds time out of his day to meet up with World Aardvark Congress president, and they're all good buddies. Almost like they've always been working on the same side behind the scenes. Where are we at? We're almost at the 2-hour mark. How much more? We got quite a bit. Let me blast through this. What the hell? We'll play Galloway, because here's Galloway, a couple clips from Galloway. This is a press conference he did today on his arrest.
This was an Orwellian experience. I invite you and all citizens to contemplate the meaning of the phrase, "You are not under arrest, but you are not free to leave." You have no right to silence. If you refuse to answer any and all of our questions, you will automatically be committing an offense under the Act, the Terrorism Act, albeit Schedule 3 of it. I've been around the block, but I never expected such words to be addressed to me. The doublespeak in the phrase, "You are not under arrest, you are not free to leave," is one that chills, or ought to chill, the blood, and it could happen to any of you.
One more clip from the Galloway press conference today. You're not under arrest, but you're not free to leave. Sounds like justice to me. Keeping everybody safe.
This is all a sign, an indication of a vortex into which our country has fallen, in which freedom of speech, freedom of expression is increasingly threatened, impelled, actually, such that even Donald Trump, of all people, felt able to cite it in the presence of the King himself during the recent state visit. Vice President J.D. Vance has been at loggerheads now for 8 months with British laws which impinge upon the freedom of expression and speech of American-owned tech companies like X and Google and so on. We really are heading into a dark place in this country.
Of course, he's talking about the UK there. Well, here's the tallest building in Gaza City. It was destroyed by aardvark forces. Mecca Tower. Let's take a look. It's obviously a terror building, as Defense Minister Katz has told us. These are terror buildings, and so pay no concern. And here's something like out of, I don't know, Road Warrior. Shocking footage shows aardvark occupation forces using a bulldozer fitted with a makeshift flamethrower to pump fuel into Gaza homes and set them ablaze. That's where we're at here now. Take a look at this footage. So we're like Road Warrior level here now. Aardvark Knesset advances bill to execute Palestinian prisoners. National Security Minister Ben Gvir said the law is necessary to remind Palestinians the price tag for October 7th. Turkish Navy frigates have begun escorting the global Sumud flotilla, now 3 days from Gaza, as it was under attack by unknown drone forces. Spain bans U.S. military shipments bound for aardvark land from passing through its Rota and Meron bases, citing opposition to aardvark land's actions in Gaza. So we need to sanction them, obviously. UN Relief Chief Tom Fletcher says aardvark land is blocking even high-protein peanut butter for starving children. And so this guy obviously needs to be sanctioned as well.
Kids dying of starvation, effectively their bodies consuming their own organs. What we give them to try and avoid that is this kind of high-protein peanut butter paste.
I know what it is,
and we've been told we can't bring peanut butter in because it's a luxury, because Hamas might try to steal the peanut butter. So we are on the border every day arguing. Seriously, we are fighting to get our convoys through. We're getting a little bit more in now, but it is still...
I believe they would try to steal that peanut butter, right? Plutonium said that was a front-end loader. For your information. Well, thank you for that equipment explanation. And then, of course, Bibi says he's never seen one emancipated Palestinian person. You know what I mean? So somebody's lying. I guess it's that Fletcher character.
That's true. You know the first thing we do when we take prisoners, because, you know, we're in a battle, we take prisoners. Thousands of them, Palestinian prisoners. We want to sift out, you know, who's the terrorist, who's not. And what's the first thing you do when you take a Palestinian prisoner? They might be wearing a suicide vest, and they could explode you, right? So what you do is you ask them, take your shirt off. Now we've got thousands and thousands of photographs throughout the war, including in the recent times, okay? You won't see a single emaciated person there. A single emaciated.
Turkish President Erdogan. Yeah, we'll play the short clip. He says, well, we've been reporting here that cornered by corruption investigations, Bibi has dragged the region and even the world into fire just to protect his seat. You don't say. You don't say.
Gerek ikili görüşmelerimizde, gerekse bu toplantılarda şuna bir kez daha şahitlik ettik. Yolsuzluk soruşturmalarından dolayı iyice köşeye sıkışan Netanyahu'nun sırf koltuğunu korumak uğruna bölgeyi...
Sorry about that. I thought that clip was, we had translation on it. I got the wrong one. But But anyway, that's essentially what he said. What we've been saying, what is self-evident. Qatar and Egypt have handed the Hamas negotiating delegation the White House plan to end the war in Gaza. The Hamas negotiating delegation has not been whacked yet, but they're anticipating it. No, I added that part. The Hamas negotiating delegation promised the mediators to study the proposal responsibly. And that's a report out of Al Jazeera. And here you go. AP reporting. Netanyahu says Aardvarkland working on ceasefire plan on eve of Trump meeting. Gaza death toll tops 66,000. And I do believe it's a lot higher than that, but that's the official from the Gaza Health Ministry. And so we're going with that number, but I do believe it's a lot higher than that since October 7th. White House confirms Tony Blair will be high up on committee running Gaza. You can't make it up in your worst dystopian sci-fi movie. You know what I mean? This is the reality that we find ourselves in. You would take this script to Hollywood, they'd say that's too extreme, that Tony Blair is going to be the head of the committee for peace in Gaza. But there it is. There it is there. And aardvarks are suffering as well. Aardvark Army announces 5 soldiers severely injured in combat in northern Gaza today. They don't care about the hostages, their own soldiers, or any of it. So don't believe their propaganda and lies from these bloodthirsty war criminals. Netanyahu discusses AI in private meeting with tech investors while at the UN. As part of his visit to New York, Netanyahu met with U.S. tech leaders, including Ramp, Open Door, Versal, Lux Capital, and ex-Palantir advisor Jacob Hellberg to discuss AI for Aardvarkland's economy and military, according to a report out of Bloomberg, i.e. Technocracy meeting there. Islamic Jihad says Trump's Gaza plan is a recipe for aggression against Palestinians. Well, thanks for chiming in there, intelligence. And then Senator Lindsey Graham, can we even stomach this character anymore? How is he still in the Senate? I don't know. South Carolina. When it comes to terrorist threats, Aardvarkland must be allowed to defend itself and finish the job. While I strongly support trying to end the major military operations in Gaza and moving forward a new Middle East, it is imperative that this is accomplished in the right way. I do not support ending major military operations if it means that Hamas is not eliminated forever and does not ensure that there will never be another October 7th. From my viewpoint, Aardvarkland is not the problem. It is Iran and its proxies that are the problem. Pakistan's minister chimed in. He said, I welcome President Trump's 20-point peace plan. So there you go. Pakistan. And then the shocking the world, Bibi apologized to Qatar for the attack on Doha. I know, I'm shocked too. I almost fell out of my chair. Reuters reports that Bibi apologized to his Qatari counterpart today in that trilateral phone call with Trump, Qatar, and Bibi. Shocking, I know. And then foreign ministers out of Qatar issue a joint statement Who do we got on this? Qatar, Jordan, UAE, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt welcome the U.S. President Trump's sincere efforts to end the war in Gaza. And again, none of these governments are any good. Continuing here, we had the official statement saying from Saudi Arabia, more from Qatar, and more statements from Trump. I think we've had about enough. We get the gist of it. And this is for Bendy right here to close out the show.
No, Sam, that's not how we do it. Let me show you how we take care of the creature. Let me show you how we take care of the creature. Go, Rita! Get him! Hit him! Hit him! Rita! That's how it's done. Yeah! Okay, calm down.
And so while I don't recommend this behavior, I do understand and appreciate the sentiment. And with that, let's go to the channels. Odysee. We have a few on the Odysee here. Wire, John, Highland. Is Gur there? Gur's on a way, like totally opposite time. So shout out to Gur if you tune in later on the Odysee. They say, is it for Trump weed? He'll probably brand his own. I haven't seen that yet, but I'll take a look. Yeah, they're probably miracle injured. Indeed. I've been so bad, Odysee has banned me from chats. Well, be good, Wire, in our chat. Can't have all this, thought crimes on our chat. It's offensive. What else do we got? Effing Tony Blair, Satan just passed me screaming. Yeah. First thing they do is sodomize the Palestinians. Jeez. All right. Thank you guys for keeping the chat lively on the Odysee. And then what else did we got? Rumble. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Rumble, keeping that chat lively. The YouTube, Kick, Facebook, Twitch, and X. Thank you guys for tuning in on all of those platforms. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.